that are like, no, I'm an atheist. There definitely is no God. Right?
Okay, well then, why is murder wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because it is. Because it is. Well, okay, I think it's right.
Yeah.
So how can you tell me it's wrong? By what authority?
Yeah.
Because you feel that way. That's your authority. Your emotions.
And you would see this.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. There's no way that can go the opposite direction or anything. Wow. So apparently, so today, I don't know if anybody's aware. According to Fundie's, today, April 1st, is Atheist Day. Because of that Bible verse that says that the people that aren't convinced of the thing the book is trying to convince you of are stupid. That's a verse in the book, a religious text about believing in a God, and it says that people that don't believe in God are fools. It's crazy. I don't even know what's happening. Anyway, so we're gonna get into this. Tucker Carlson. So the video is called "Atheism Can't Explain This." Yeah, it's not an encyclopedia, man. Atheism's not bad. It's just not believing in a God. But all right, we're gonna get into this. I am Brantley, and this is the Punk Apostate. Let's go. The thumbnail actually said the hypocrisy of atheism. But I like I said, imagine like over the next couple of days, we're going to get a lot of people, we're going to get a lot of videos on here talking crap about atheists. So yeah, because like I said, April 1st, April Fools, it's Atheist Day. I remember I used to say this joke. I remember that. Oh, it's Atheist Day because it's April Fool's Day. I am just, oh man, that is just a hoot. That is a hoot of a joke right there.
Who were raised, most of them like raised secular, right? They went through the whole new atheism thing. They never went to church.
Did it just start? Hold on. What happened?
Young men.
Okay, it literally did. It sounds like he's mid-sentence. Young men. Okay, what about what?
Young men. Who were raised, most of them like raised secular, right? They went through the whole new atheism thing. They never went to church. They never grew up. I mean, I talked to so many guys, so many young men, I see, connect with me on X and places like that, where they're like, hey, I was not part of the church at all. I was not a Christian.
This guy needs to play a cop in like anything. Doesn't matter. A comedy show, I think, would be best. He seems like that weird guy. He probably says like affirmative. Just like, you want some coffee? Affirmative. Okay, man. Yeah, sure. Yeah, got it. Okay. He likes cops. That's all.
And I see all of the evil everywhere, right? I see the things like you were talking about, like they are sacrificing babies. Like they care about this more than anything else. The ability to murder a baby. They see things like
what are you talking about?
The Ukraine war.
Oh no, yeah, the equivocation thing. Yeah, got it. Yeah, as long as all those terms aren't those terms, got it.
Or where it's like, our rulers just decided to have a war, and kill millions of people for absolutely no reason.
And our proxies have banned them.
Hold on, what war? Hold on.
Our rulers just decided to have a war. The ability to murder a baby. They see things like the Ukraine war, where it's like, our rulers just decided to have a war.
Wait, Ukraine? Our ruler? What ruler? I think it was the ruler that invaded another country. I don't know. Maybe it was that ruler. Was that the ruler that decided that they want to start a war? Because I feel like they keep forgetting that that's what happened. I don't know. They got like goldfish memory. They're like, I don't know. Maybe Ukraine started it. Like how? They were invaded anyway. Jeez Louise.
And kill millions of people for absolutely no reason.
And our proxies have banned them.
I mean, I agree if you're talking about Putin, but I don't think he is.
Majority Christian faith.
Yes.
Banned the majority Christian faith, the majority faith, which is Christian, in Ukraine. And I just wonder.
No, they didn't ban Christians. As far as I understand, they banned like a very specific Moscow church or something. I don't know, some type of Orthodox thing or something.
Just to go back to the atheists for a second.
But you see how it gets like switched. It's just all of Christianity is banned in Ukraine. Those guys are evil. They're evil. Okay. You know what? I think maybe a dictator should invade him. Well, oh wait, he did? Oh, well then he's right. Then that guy's probably right. But
what do they make of this? Like, it just, I certainly understand being agnostic. Like, I don't know, I get it.
Yeah, I can see why someone would have that viewpoint.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty normal,
Okay, but if you say you don't know, does that mean you are convinced of a God? If you don't know, are you then convinced, but you also don't know? Like, how does this work? Because if you don't know, then you wouldn't be convinced in any specific God being true, right? Wouldn't that be atheism? So you're like, you basically just said, I can understand being an atheist as long as you say you don't know for sure or something like that. Okay, but again, agnostic, everybody's agnostic. Nobody knows. All right. If you're not convinced a God exists, that's atheism. I don't know why this is difficult.
Place to be. I think it's wrong, but I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah.
But to be an atheist, to have determined that there is no God, like, what do you make of the things you see around you? If you never held someone's hand while he dies, like, what do you think that is?
Yeah.
You've never felt anything?
What? Why would you go to that? I mean, at least Ray Comfort talks about kittens and flowers and stuff. old Tucker over here. So have you ever held someone's hand while they died? Because God, what are you talking about?
That is clearly outside of what science describes? Like, how determined are you to ignore?
What was outside? I just keep missing stuff.
Yeah.
You've never felt anything that is clearly outside of what science describes? Like,
you've never felt anything that is clearly outside of anything science describes. What the hell does that mean? I don't know what you. What, like, how do you, if it's a feeling, how do you know that that's not just like neurons firing in your brain? What do you mean? Like, you say that has to be some magical thing? If you feel it, have you never felt like a magical thing that's outside of all explanation? No, I haven't, man. I think pretty much all of the experiences I have inside my head, they could easily be explained by neuroscience.
How determined are you to ignore your life? That you become an atheist? Like, what is that?
I know, it's crazy.
Know any?
Yeah.
What? Ignore your life. What? Hold on.
How determined are you to ignore your life? That you become an atheist? Like, what is that?
I know, it's crazy.
Know any?
Yeah.
What the hell question is that? How determined are you? Let me apply that. I'm an atheist. Okay. I got the shirt on for April Fool's Day. Like, how determined am I to ignore my life? What do you mean? Like, I that'd be tough. That'd be a good trick if you could ignore your life. I don't. How do you do that? I don't even know what you're saying, man. Like, I don't ignore my life. In fact, I live it harder now that I am an atheist because I know this sucker doesn't go on forever. So that means that this time that we have, a lot more precious. If my experience goes on infinitely, guess what matters less and less? This life. It automatically, if you believe it goes on forever, just by the basics of like supply and demand, if the supply is infinite, the demand's zero. So yeah, it matters more. So I'm ignoring it less. Christians literally tell people to die to themselves, to ignore their lives, to give up all their autonomy to somebody else, to tell them how they should be living. But that's not ignoring your own life. That's ignoring your own life. You're giving up autonomy. You're like saying, hey, can you make my choices for me? Hey, you religious guy, you clearly know stuff better than I do. Think for me. Can you do the thinking for me? Because I suck at it. Like that's what you're doing. And that's what causes people to not be to struggle so much in life is because they don't believe they can do anything for themselves because they've been brainwashed into believing they can't do anything themselves. Everything they do themselves is going to be broken, bad, evil, garbage. Let somebody else choose your stuff for you.
I mean, it's funny because most of the people that you talk to are like, when they espouse kind of atheist ideas, right? They'll retreat. It's kind of a Mott and Bailey thing where they'll retreat to agnostic. Well, I'm agnostic. I don't really know for sure, right? So there's very few people, very few.
No. It's so weird how they do this because they conflate anything that like could be described as having some of the characteristics of what they believe a god is, as they think that anything like that would be a god or whatever. But it's like, so any kind of designer type of whatever, if there's something like that, there's some sort of interdimensional alien beings and they got us in a petri dish and they're looking at us, right? They would be like, oh, you don't know if that's real? That's not a god. Are you crazy? That's not a god. Those are interdimensional beings from Indiana Jones 4. Those aren't gods. Okay. So what are you talking about? Like, but they would go, but that is a god though. You're saying, if you're an atheist, you're saying, that those things aren't real. And no, we're not. We're just saying, I don't have any good reason to think they are. First of all, but those aren't gods. You don't just get to like equivocate everything as being a god, as long as it shares a couple of the characteristics of no, yours is an undead carpenter ghost, okay, that died on a cross, that sacrificed himself to himself in order to convince himself to save the world from himself, sure. Because of a woman made of a rib being convinced by a talking snake to eat a magical fruit. Anyway, that's the god you guys believe in, okay? Not some interdimensional Indiana Jones 4 being, okay? You don't get to have it all right?
Especially now, that are like, no, I'm an atheist. There definitely is no God. Right?
Okay, well then, why is murder wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll get into that. How's everybody doing? Feeling good? We never get into the why murder is wrong thing. This is great. I'm so glad that Tucker's here to bring up these things that never get brought up. It's crazy. Oh, what's up? Who won today? Let's see here. Before my whole system crashes. James back on top. It was like only 20 minutes early too. Wow, that was pretty good. That was good. Yeah, they had you beat the other day though because it was a 6-hour thing. I think. Let's see who was second. Music. What's up, dude? Hey, you're saying hey to James. And then we got Lord Dissonant. He's in third place. Oh yeah. What the? Well, I'm here. That was me. That was just reading. That's what what Lord Dissonant said. I'm not really sure it's the context. Maybe he noticed a spider on his shirt there while he was just like, well, I'm here. And I don't know. I don't know what the context is specifically. All right, who else is here? We got Charlie. What's up, Charlie? Time enough to roll. That's right. There was time. Mm-hmm. I went pretty early on this one. As soon as I woke up at like 8:30 or whatever, I was like, oh shoot, I forgot to do that yesterday. So I ran it and then I did it, and now it's done. Drusilla, what's up? How's it going? Oh yeah. Kari, what's up? What's up? What's up? Who else we got? Michael, what's up, man? Hell yeah. Good morning, everyone. Hell yeah. Who else we got? Let's see. I think that's mostly. Oh, and JT said, oh, I didn't realize you were streaming. I was too busy ignoring my life. Very good. Yes. Oh, and Blood Badger. What's up, dude? Oh yeah, I know. Happy April Fool's Day. We call it Fundie Day. They call it Atheist Day. What is even happening? It's so weird. We're all doing things. Wolf said, hey, have you hit that like button? Oh yeah, please, if you don't mind, the like button. The like button likes to be hit. Actually, so if you don't, if you don't mind, that'd be great. See, yeah. So hitting that like button helps, and I'd appreciate it. But all right, what are we at here? Let's get back to this weirdo. Oh, yeah, the murder thing
for sure, right? So there's very few people, very few, especially now, that are like, no, I'm an atheist. There definitely is no God. Right?
Okay, well then, why is murder wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because
first of all, way to change subjects. What the hell was that? Because he was trying to make the point that we do this like retreat thing where we're like, oh, we're an atheist, but oh, actually, I mean, just an agnostic, you know. And then he's like, you got like a very few people that are like, I am definitely an atheist and know that no gods exist. And then Tucker over here is like, okay, well then let's go into the moral argument. And we're like, okay, I guess we can talk about that too. You know, this guy kind of just was like, well, I was trying to kind of make a point. What? No, it's what your show, whatever. All right, I guess I'm following you down this.
Because it is. Well, okay, I think it's right.
Yeah.
So how can you tell me it's wrong? By what authority?
Yeah.
The irony is like all the people that thought that murder was right because they thought their God was cool with it. Maybe as it applied to like witches and stuff. They had a dream. They had a dream that lady that was kind of rude to them the other day. Well, she's a witch. Okay, had a dream. All right, spectral evidence. Boom, and let's burn that lady. That actually happened in the past. Okay, that's so it's the opposite. What you're saying here? The opposite. That's how it goes.
Yeah,
because you feel that way. That's your authority, your emotions,
and you would see this. I remember.
So, like the people you were saying,
I mean, yeah. All right. Why not? Like, and the emotions of all the people that come together and go, hey, this is probably bad, right? Maybe courts are good for this sort of thing, you know, since there is no God that anybody can demonstrate. We kind of got to do this thing ourselves, right? And whether or not you're justifying it with a God doesn't matter, because you know I can say that my God does, you know, is cool with that awful behavior, right? So that's why we need courts, because all we got at the end of the day is people. And we're deciding this thing.
Who are atheists? Like, are they ever? Some of them are smart, I assume.
Yeah.
What do they say to that?
I remember.
Some are smart, I assume. I mean, maybe, probably not. They're atheists.
I remember watching, previous guest of yours, actually the man who trained me in ministry, Doug Wilson.
Yeah.
Debate.
Wonderful man.
Christopher
Nice
Hitchens.
Man. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yes.
And they had that discussion, right? And it was shocking to watch Hitchens say, well, it's common human experience, solidarity with mankind. That's why I think murder is wrong. And of course, Doug says to him, well,
murder is wrong because as far as a society goes, it would lead to a lot of really bad outcomes if that was a behavior that we all went, yeah, that's okay. Right. And so, yeah, that's what would make it bad. It's like an evolutionary development of the species that has led us to be a social species that says we do better when we're not hurting each other. But again, this is it's not absolute, because what if somebody is unaliving a bunch of people? Do we unalive them? Yes, we do, right? Because it's none of this is absolute, right? And there's a lot, but it really goes back to just humans deciding stuff, and we have a mechanism to do that, which is the courts.
Well, if you saw someone being like murdered on the street, you think that's bad, right? Well, why? And he goes into his whole spiel.
Because I wouldn't want that to happen to me. Do you? Do you want that to happen to you? Like, why is this difficult? It's like they think as long as they justify it with a magic, that somehow fixes it. What if you got one person believing in God and another person believing in a different God, and the one person that believes in the first God said that it's okay, their God said that it's okay to unalive the guy that believes in the other God? Now what do we do? Oh, it's almost as if you just got two people that have just decided that their magic is the justification for hurting people and stuff. And so you got one person saying no, one person saying yes. Now what do we do? It's almost like we're back to square one.
And he's like, well, what if it's a pregnant woman and her baby's being murdered, right? You would just,
oh my God. That's it. Trustee, what's up, dude? How's it going? You made it. Oh yeah.
Say, well, no, you need to have a medical license for that to kill that person, right? Like
what did Christopher say?
He's like, oh, you're being flippant. You wouldn't go down that road.
Yeah, because it's just an equivocation, man. You're just equivocating the earliest stage of what could develop into a life for actual personhood, and then talking about, look, here's what I always think is, if you had somebody in the room and you're like, there's a murderer in here, dude, we got to be careful. there's an unaliver in this room. And you're like, oh boy, I'm getting nervous. Somebody has unalived somebody, then they're in this room, you know? And they're like, yeah, the lady took a pill that stopped her from giving birth. You're like, oh, well, okay, that's not. Whew, okay, yeah, I thought we were going to see face tattoos or something, you know, and maybe some gold teeth in the front or something like that. Maybe a spider web. They like the spider webs. No, none of that, because it's a complete equivocation, man. That's not what anybody means when we say unaliving somebody. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a person that actually does exist, that's independent of other people, that does breathe air. And it's crazy that I have to specify that, you know,
What's so sad is I knew Christopher very well and always liked him enormously for his erudition, his ability to recite long passages of poetry, you know, Philip Larkin and Orwell. And, you know, he was just he's a reader, like a dedicated lifelong reader, and a wonderful dinner and lunch companion. I had many, many highly drunken dinners with.
Highly drunken. That's it. Yeah, no. I thought he was going to go with like highly intellectual. It's like highly wasted. Yeah, that's highly too. That was a good descriptor of that conversation there
With him before I quit drinking. And
really likes that black label, you know, that black label stuff.
And but he was such, and so I love Christopher, but he was a moralizer. Whoa.
Yeah.
And
but he was a what?
Right, quit drinking. And but he was such, and so I love Christopher, but he was a moralizer. Whoa.
Yeah.
And I was
a moralizer. Is that what I heard? I don't know what that means.
Much younger, 25 years younger than I am now. And I never sort of put it together in my mind, like, how could an atheist be a moralizer?
Yeah.
Doesn't even make any sense, actually.
I don't know what a moralizer is. Okay, is anyone chat? Where are we at on what the hell a moralizer is? I'm so confused. Is that somebody that decides morality? I don't know what it is.
Lent is here, the period before Easter, the 40 days, and it's a unique chance to get
How did he get hung over all of a sudden? What happened there? My goodness. Puffy face. Way too many glasses of that black label stuff last night. Jeez Louise, man. Maybe give yourself a day before you do your ad.
Closer to God, the preparation for Easter, his most convicted faith in action, which house, and a night on how all designed to help. But he was always
the irony of this guy being like the voice of morality is just hilarious. I don't know. The dude that's like super racist, like he's just the worst person ever.
Like in the pulpit, actually.
Yeah.
And a lot of the atheists are.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Well, I think so much.
What is it?
Some things and disagreed on others, but he was always like in the pulpit, actually.
Yeah.
And a lot of the atheists are.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
In the pulpit? What are you talking about?
Well, I think so much.
They talk in front of people, and you know, there's more charismatic speakers than just preachers, right? I know that's the most lucrative. That's the most lucrative job, because you can literally just get people to give you money because you said you know the magic better than they do. But
it is atheism really is
an
like
atheist moralizer.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Well, it's a Christian heresy. Like they want to have all the things of Christianity just with
the witch master. I like that movie. It's the one about the oh no. Oh, that's a witch master. That one hasn't come out yet. I'm sorry. We're still waiting on that movie.
Without God there. Right. So they want to be able to pursue all of these things, right? They want to be able to say this is right and this is wrong, but have no authority to ground it on, right? Just by their say so, right? It's
just by your say so, dude. You don't actually have any grounding either, dude. Like, this is what's so stupid. You're just saying that you know that a God would want this stuff. Keep in mind, the book that they point to as being like the moral superiority of all this stuff includes like, hey, it's cool to beat slaves, you know, because they're just property. So they don't even matter. Exodus 21:18-21. Like, it says you could beat slaves. So what are you talking about, man? Like, the book that you're pointing to clearly has to be interpreted in a way that forgets about a lot of the harmful, disgusting stuff in that. You know, so
fatuous though. I mean,
conundrum. Yeah,
just as like a concept. They're like, but I can point to the magic and say the reason that this is bad is because of the being. And it's like, that doesn't do anything, man, because everybody could just say that they believe in a God and then do whatever they want and hurt a bunch of people and stuff like that. And then just say, hey, it's cool. The God says it's cool. So we're good here. We're all good.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? It's wrong.
Well, and you could see
Okay, why?
Yeah, you can see why it's breaking down though. Today
Under the weight of its own silliness.
Yeah. It creates this vacuum and it's being replaced by something. So all of the
what creates it? They always do this. Like, they act like atheism is the moral standard of some of sorts. It's not. That's just just the rejection of a single claim a God exists. It's just rejecting that claim. See, they have the hardest time understanding that not believing in a God doesn't come with some moral code or whatever, right? Technically, believing in a God doesn't either. Dahmer became a Christian, so it doesn't seem to do too much there. But yeah, it just doesn't matter at all. You have to have you have to have a specific interpretation of Christianity too. It's not just that you believe in a God. It's like, oh, I believe in a God and I believe in this denomination and this doctrine and stuff like that. And they say that this is bad and that's good, whatever. But then they all disagree with themselves too. So it's not even like this is standardized or anything, right? But they think that atheism is supposed to come with like morals, just like their Christianity does. But not believing in a God doesn't come with that. You kind of have to do a little more work after the not believing stuff. You don't get to just have your brain handed to you by a preacher. It's like, no, it's cool. I got all your rules for you. Here, click this into your brain, and then you can decide. You can decide what I've already decided as to what right and wrong actually is. So let's do this.
Moralistic energy is still there, and now it's gone to things like transgenderism, abortion,
yes.
Gaza, whatever. Like it goes to all of
Gaza?
those routes. It goes to.
Dude, I'm pretty sure the belief in God has been to the detriment of the Gaza situation there. Now, it's a bunch of people believing in gods, actually. And one group of people believes in a God that has a lot of financial backing, too. So they like, look, our God actually does make us a lot more powerful, and the billions of dollars that we get from the U.S. and everything. So that must mean that our God's more real. So we get to shmemicide the people in this area. Where was atheism at all in any of this? It's like a religious states, like, whatever, like, the Israeli state, and then you got Palestinians. They don't like the God they believe in. They believe a false God. The first commandment is don't worship any other gods, so they're automatically immoral. So they get to like shmemicide them. Where does atheism come into this at all?
BLM and rioting.
Yes,
like
that's right.
Lives mattering. It's almost as if you're trying to contradict yourself here or something. Like, why is murder wrong, huh? It's the atheists that came up with Black Lives Mattering, and so it's just, but why is murder wrong? You're the one justifying the murder. If you're anti-Black Lives Matter, then you're anti-Lives Matter. Like, what is happening, dude?
And so it's highly religious.
It's in us.
Yeah.
It's in us. We can't get away from the conviction, the true conviction that some things are right and some things are wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fundamentally human.
Okay. So wouldn't that be like emotivism or whatever? Like, isn't that just the concept of like, we feel in our hearts that stuff is right and wrong?
Absolutely.
So, but an atheist would have to, by definition, be utterly non-judgmental about everything. Like
you would think they should be, but they're the most judgmental people.
It's unbelievable.
But,
I mean, Christopher at dinner was always lecturing.
That doesn't make any sense, dude. They seem to think as long as you're not convinced that their bullshit is true about, the undead carpenter ghost living inside of them that they pretend tickles them when they sing songs about them and stuff like that. Like, if we're like, yeah, I don't think that's right. Like, well, then how can you say anything is right or anything is wrong at all if you're not even convinced that an undead carpenter ghost living inside me? Because it's total. He's in there. Okay, he's in there. I feel it. It's tingly sometimes. Okay, I get tingly. So, what the hell are you talking about? Obviously, just not believing in a God doesn't inform morality. You have to have something else, man. And atheists are not a monolith. Okay, yeah, there's moral nihilists, I'm sure, okay, that exist, right? I'm a humanist myself. Okay. But you got to do something else. It's not just the atheism. It's like their brain is so simple. They can't think outside of just, it's gotta be this and it's gotta be that. And those are the only two options at all. That's all.
Talking about the Kurds. And I'm nothing against the Kurds.
Yeah.
I don't know much about the Kurds. I ran into them in Iraq. They were the most bloodthirsty people in Iraq. I did notice that.
Yeah.
But he was so, again, I'm not against the Kurds. I'm not an expert in.
No, they're just bloodthirsty. I'm not against them. I'm not against them. But like, comparatively speaking, more bloodthirsty than everybody else. Not against them though.
Kurdishness.
But we contradict ourselves. Yeah, that's it.
But he would like lay down his life for the Kurds.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, what is this? And it was the need to sort of find a good guy and a bad guy and put yourself on the good guy's side.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's human. Like
it's human.
We want
that.
that.
That's totally true.
Yeah.
So what did you say?
It's more of a good guy and a bad guy thing. And we wanted to put ourselves on the side of the good guy. See, again, this feels like some sort of like moral absolutism. They seem to have a hard time with nuance. Sometimes bad guys do good things and sometimes good guys do bad things and everything in between. I know now everything's complicated. Rambo won. The cops were actually the bad guys. I know it's very confusing. It's very confusing to have, so the good guy's kind of the bad guy and the bad guys are actually it's very complicated. The moral is it's murky, right?
To your church when you left.
They did draw first blood, though. That's the real point there, I think, is the purpose.
That was one of the hardest days of my life.
I believe it.
To tell them I'm leaving. I'm going to Tennessee. And it was difficult. I still have a connection with them, relationship with them. I'm still trying to find them a pastor to replace me, right? It's hard for me to do that because like, well, you left, Andrew. Why you want me to go there now? But they need one, and they're wonderful, wonderful people who have blessed me immensely.
So he's just talking about leaving. So they just flew through stuff. So this is only an 8-minute clip, and it looks like a good 3 minutes of it where the ad here. So wow, they just rushed through everything. And now we're just talking about him leaving. I guess he was a pastor, and now he's like, man, I'm leaving everybody behind. Now they're all just going to start chopping heads off because they're like, we don't have a pastor anymore. We don't know what right and wrong is. We don't have a brain to be able to decide what is good and bad. We need somebody to provide that information for us. Otherwise, everything falls apart.
Leave. And I just told them that no, I have to leave Minnesota. There is
coldness. There's a lot of coldness, and I just gotta go.
There's a place for me there in Tennessee, and it's ultimately what is best for my family's future.
Cool. That's great. Thanks, man. What an interesting conversation. It seemed to go like nowhere fast. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but they just like rushed through all of the misunderstanding how atheism works, it seems. But what do we got here? Let me see. I was gonna do this one. It's fine. What do you think of that? Fallen angels built the structures underneath the pyramid. What? Why though? Why does it go so stupid? All right.
Also see that
it's the Nephilims. $100 says it was those rock monsters from that Noah movie, man. How else could those structures get underneath the pyramids like that? Well, how did they build a giant boat like that? Well, the rock monsters. That's how. Okay, this is easy.
there's secret tunnels and chambers underneath the Sphinx, and that the impossibilities of all the complex structures of ancient Egypt were built by
this was the guy too that I'm pretty sure it was this guy. I don't know if I mixed him up with Off the Curb Ministries because that guy's completely psychotic too. But I think it was one of this guy's videos that Joe Rogan was reacting to the other day.
fallen angels and their Nephilim offspring. We'll start off with the narrative.
All right, y'all owe me $100. I called it. Nephilim within the first 30 seconds. I watch too much of this crap
that the mainstream news sources are putting forth.
It started with a research team from Italy.
Joe, what's up, dude? How's it going? How you doing, man? It's good to see you. Oh yeah. Everybody's saying, hey, what's the established? What? The establishment are Star Wars fans. They use the Force. Oh, what's the? Okay. No, that's all right. Yeah, I thought establishments were typically bad. Like, break the establishment, because wouldn't that be the empire? The empire would be what was established, and then the rebel. I don't know I feel like I'm missing context. Again, y'all are gonna have to like tag Punk Apostate so it shows up in bright orange to me in the chat, because there's too much chatting going on. I'm trying to keep track and I can't. Which is a great problem. It's a great problem to have. But yeah, highlight me if you want me to look at it.
Professor Corrado Malanga and his team from the University of Pisa. They're convinced they found something big. Using radar pulses, they claim to have detected a vast underground complex, spiral staircases, mysterious chambers, and even a network of tunnels leading deeper into the earth. His team believes there
they are. They believe that they are from that television show Reboot, and they're just these little. They're the video games. They're the video games that come down from the sky, but they got stuck, I guess, under the pyramids or something.
8 distinct vertical cylinder-shaped artifacts that span more than 2,100 feet beneath the pyramids.
Yeah, please like and subscribe. You don't mind. If you want to hit that button, I'd appreciate it.
And get this. They believe it might even
you can't say get this like that. That was just uninflected to all get out. What the
contain the legendary Hall of Records, an ancient library rumored to hold the lost knowledge of Egyptian civilization.
With claims there are 8 man-made vertically.
It keeps showing the same thing. This same like I don't know, like really bad reboot looking computer imaging thing, right? But if you look at like what it's based on. This is premature, I'm pretty sure. Now, there might be something really cool under there. I don't know. But I don't think that it's aliens using giant screws to, this makes me think of like, if you ever put together that Swedish furniture stuff, the IKEA, that's it. I always forget. I'm like the Swedish stuff. I don't know. And they make you like get under, you got to like put something down on top, but then you have to go under it and then have to like screw. That's what it looks like they're doing. They had to like put the pyramid on top and then somehow get their hand under there to like screw the pyramid down. They had to get it to secure. So I don't know what they think this is.
Cylinder-like structures extending through the limestone bedrock for a whopping 648 meters, each with its...
Ryan, what's going on? They're rising up from within the Earth's core. Again, I don't know the context specifically, but I think that was for me to say it like that, right? That was what you were hoping for, right? Yeah, she's not.
Own winding stairway and culminating in 2 large cubic structures with sides measuring around 80 meters. To put that into perspective, the Empire State Building is 443 meters in height, so the so-called man-made cylinders are much, much larger, and the cubic structures are
much, much larger,
nearly twice as tall as the Statue of Liberty.
Right off the bat, Dr. Zahi Hawass, Egypt's former Minister of Antiquities, came out and said that this was not real. It appears as though Zahi rarely goes against the mainstream narrative of archaeology, which this new information definitely does. The Sphinx is also rumored to have secret tunnels and chambers as well.
Can you blame him? He's in the field, dude. Like most of the time when you're in a particular field, you're not going to discover one thing that throws out all of the models that they used up until that point. I mean, isn't that the Galileo Gambit fallacy, right? Is there's so many, and see, people constantly cite Galileo. That's why his name is in the fallacy. It's where you say like, oh man, I'm the one that figured out the thing that changes everything. It throws out all the models that we've got. And so often that's not true, that we have a fallacy for it. And I feel like this might be a pretty good example of that. Although again, it's premature. I'm not going to say I know that these things aren't true or whatever, but as far as I can tell, the evidence that it's based on, it's quite shaky.
Zahi admitted to a few of these tunnels, but rejected the theory of larger chambers. But the evidence points to there being more going on underneath the Sphinx as well.
And somebody had said wells, right? Like deep wells or something like that. That makes sense, right? I don't know.
Here we are going to the Sphinx enclosure, guys. So cool.
Whoa. That's a big hole. That is what that is. Yeah. That is cool. Big holes are cool. Okay. That is oh gosh. And now I gotta do it. I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, the big holes are cool. And filling them is also cool. Go to adamandeve.com. Enter code word Brentley at checkout to get 50% off almost any one item. 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Go to adamandeve.com. Enter that code word Brentley. That's BRENTLY. It's been bright purple. Yeah, like it's not that bright, but it's on the screen there. Go to adamandeve.com. Pop that into the code place at checkout, and get your butt some stuff. Okay, it needs it. It wants it. It can't live without it.
We're not going in there today, right? No, okay, maybe we are going in there today.
It's gotten hot.
This thing is so big. Like,
dude, Florida sucks. It is so hot. Unbelievable. I thought at least add another month. Nope. Super. It's a scorcher.
Look at how big this is.
I always feel like I throw my AC off when it goes like, whoa, what's going on? We got to do stuff again, man. Like I'm waking them up from a break. They're like, oh man, I was just, I was Netflix and chilling, and now I got
What do you see, Adrian?
I see that. Over there.
And the mummy's about to pop out according to the music.
No. Okay, so that's a dead end.
But clearly, no, this is not CGI. And I find it really interesting that the Egyptian authorities have done so much to prevent anyone from knowing about this in the first place. Now, there has been other speculation, and this brings me to my second example, that there is some sort of shaft door at the top on the Sphinx's back towards the rear.
And if you want to do something with the shaft near the rear, the back door, go to Adam and Eve. Okay, that was too silly. But I should have waited. That was a much better segue than it would have been. Perfect.
And in fact, Zahi Hawass actually took people up there with a camera in 2009. But he opens up the door, he points down, and clearly you can see that at the bottom, I mean, it goes someplace. You can tell from the shadows.
Clearly, it goes someplace.
Which direction does it go?
Very good. No, you nailed it. It goes someplace. That's it. That's clearly you could see that.
I have no idea. He himself says that it leads nowhere, and you go down there and there's nothing to be seen. He says that people probably dug it out at some point looking for treasures. And don't forget, Zahi Hawass had denied for decades that there was ever time.
JT said the pyramids are built on solid limestone bedrock. Are you sure? Are you sure that's not just what the Illuminati wants you to think? Huh? They sort of like the pyramids stuff, okay? And that eye. They like the eye. They put it on everything, right? Because they're secretly giving out clues, apparently. I don't know why they do that. That seems counterintuitive to the secrecy thing. But anyway, yeah.
Tunnels underneath the Sphinx, or in the Sphinx itself. And he had actually changed his story multiple times. But it raises questions. Could this lead to the cavities within the Sphinx or the detected cavity below it? I mean, guys, ground penetrating radar has shown that there's something there.
There's a lot more stuff going on and hidden underground.
That is a bright. He just got back from doing construction. So like, what is this? He's like trying not to get hit while he's. You need your vest. You need the orange vest thing too, man, to complete the ensemble you got going on.
Then a lot of people realize something in relation back to Egypt is that a lot of the tunnels and the underground chambers are actually flooded with water, something you don't hear about very often.
Oh, look at that.
He's at waist height right now. Waist height.
waist height right now. Keep describing it. I can't see what's on the.
Is it cold? Cold. No. Are you on the sarcophagus? You see it? Wow, that's so cool, man.
This dude just wants to have his voice on the camera. That's what's happening here. Hey, I'm going to narrate from over here. This is my video. Okay. So I need people to, otherwise nobody will know it's me. It's mine.
You're my hero.
You're my hero. And then a xenomorph gets them. That's,
It's the Sphinx. The Sphinx is hollow. And there are many, many, many tunnels under the Giza Plateau, most of which are not accessible, especially to the general public. There is underground.
The last time I saw a hole that big and deep, I had 2 Christians climbing down my ad for AdamandEve.com. Nice. Thank you, Wolfos. That was perfect.
Water, of course, at Giza.
Correct.
But this water is crystal clear. So where exactly did it come from? And was it intended?
For sure.
What the intent? What? You don't cut them off in mid conspiratorial sentence. What's happening? It was intended clearly for the aliens to take baths. I don't know.
There's stuff underneath the Giza Plateau that is not known or publicly stated. But there are fake claims being spread around this whole discovery. This video here was being shared as if the spiral columns were found and being investigated. But this is an AI generated video.
Okay, I was gonna say no. This is they had AC stuff there. Yeah.
Billy Carlson also came out and publicly said multiple times that in his book on Thoth the Atlantean and the Emerald Tablets, he predicted that this is what's underneath the pyramids.
Of course he did. Yeah. I feel like you just really hurt your credibility right then, man. That just...
And now we can see everything going on beneath there. And what's down there is exactly what was predicted in my book 5.5 years ago, the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, which I have on page 34, a depiction or a rendering of this deep underground city, which is almost identical to what they discovered just recently.
Oh, good one, Billy. Let's see. Kari said, hold on, let me get it. If I can get it. Okay. Limestone filters water as the water leaches out. Wait, leaches out? Leaches out minerals and pools the minerals. The minerals settle, then calcify. Okay, I think I got it. So, I don't know. I think you know what? Who did a good video on this just recently was Myth Vision. I started. I got to go back and finish it. But who has 20 minutes at a time? This is crazy. I don't know how y'all watch this. That just killed. I don't know. Anyway,
here's the actual picture from Billy Carson's book. When you look a little closer, you can see that this type of structure is nothing like what came out in the recent news.
Oh, so it's like, he's wrong and stupid.
And if there's not walls underneath the structure, there has to be columns. So just because there's columns here doesn't mean that this is in any relation to some sort of prediction or prophecy, especially when we look.
I love it when they're like critically thinking. As long as it's different from what they'd like to think.
Around Egypt and see that there's a lot of columns used in their architecture already. And just to point out, this isn't a prediction made by Billy Carlson and his book. You can even see here.
What's your problem with Billy, man? What the hell?
In his book, that this is taken from a website called ancientcode.com. This was not the only claim that I saw about Thoth the Atlantean predicting this was underneath the pyramids. So
wait, what? Thoth the Atlantean? Wow. Okay. So that's too far for even this guy. That's crazy. I would have thought that he would be like, yeah, of course, Thoth the Atlantean. Atlantis was real, and it's obviously it got flooded, and they got super duper technology down there.
So here is a quick history on the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, so that theory can just be thrown in the trash where it belongs. Thoth is a real ancient Egyptian deity associated with the moon, writing, and wisdom.
That is a really small face. That is weird. The sizing was all off there. Whoever was, putting gods together got the, that was a leftover head. They're like, where are we going to put this one? Yeah, well, we'll put it on that one. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. I know. You got a weird small head like a hummingbird or something. You got like a hummingbird head on a human body. That's what you look like right there.
And the real emerald tablet is about a paragraph long, attributed mostly to Hermes Trismegistus, and the oldest account dating to the 8th or early 9th century. But the emerald tablets of Thoth the Atlantean are not real. They were created.
That is the weirdest title. What is it?
This account dating to the 8th or early 9th century.
And then it's the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. What? Is it what? I feels like this is reversed, right? It should be the Atlantean, the Emerald Tables of Thoth. You know what I mean? Like that's the subtitle. How is the subtitle the Atlantean? That's your headliner. Never mind.
Emerald Tablets of
Ridiculous.
Thoth the Atlantean.
Who's naming this thing? John Grisham. He sucks at naming stuff. I don't know if you noticed.
Atlantean are not real. They were created by Maurice Doyle in the early 1900s.
If you were in my Stephen King book reading group, that would kill. Okay, they would love that.
He claimed to have gone to Giza in 1925 and found the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, which he said were 38,000 years old, and with no real ability in understanding these ancient languages, somehow managed to translate the entire thing. Maurice Doyle was an occultist, clearly trying to copy the life of Aleister Crowley. He was
clearly, yeah. No, that's and that's sad. If you're trying to copy that, dude, you've done something wrong.
Science fiction writer, and him and his occult group hid in the mountains of Colorado. And
it was like a really good last podcast on the left about Crowley that was just so funny. I encourage you to go listen to it. It's really old, but it was super funny. Just like how silly that guy was.
Expectation of a nuclear blast that never happened. There's not a single thing in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean that is real.
Just like John Grisham catching strays. Have you seen his books? What the hell? It's always the something, the pelicanry, I can't think of it, any other, but they're all the something, the jury. I'm pretty sure there's one just called the jury. Well, the runaway jury is a special, that one's different. Okay. That's like one of the few halfway decent names. Okay.
Or credible. To understand the ancient mysteries, including ancient Egypt, we don't need Maurice Doyle's Emerald Tablets of Thoth or the belief that aliens exist. We need to look at what the actual truth is, which is that fallen angels came to the earth and influenced mankind. Genesis 6:4.
I was going to say, hold on. Hellbound Hillbilly said he translated the tablets from Reformed Egyptian. I think I've heard that story before. Is that Joseph Smith? Didn't he do something like that? I can't remember specifically what the language is, but it sounds exactly like what he did as far as I could tell.
The Book of Enoch, the Book of Giants.
You just had to have a hat and a jewel to read it from or whatever.
The Book of Jubilees, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and so on and so on, all reference fallen angels coming to earth and creating giant offspring with the humans of Earth. These are how the impossible ancient structures around the world were built. The great deception among so many people right now is that aliens...
Those poor aliens, dude. Wow, sorry. Don't know what happened to them. Are these like the war-ravaged ones? They stayed under the sun tanning thing. They got an alien sun tanning bed thing, then they just fell right asleep there.
Are the ones who built these. There's a reason why every Friday night for the
last... were those supposed to be rock or those were statue? Okay, I'm sorry.
26 years, Ancient Aliens is on TV telling people that aliens created us, God's not real, everything we see is attributed to evolution and the Big Bang, and aliens will once again make themselves known to us like they did in the past.
And the stones are immense, and some of them were cut from a quarry that's hundreds of miles away.
Well, some of them, the granite in the Great Pyramid comes from more than 500 miles to the south, all made with gigantic granite blocks. So those blocks on the roof of the King's Chamber weigh 70 tons each. Now, Egyptologists will tell you that, oh, they could move heavy blocks because they put them on wet sand and they push them along on wet sand. But when you're 350 feet above the ground, as you are in the King's Chamber, that won't do at all. All I know is they did it. I don't think anybody knows how they did it. That's how they brought them up to that level. I think we're looking, again, at a lost technology.
It was an anti-gravity ray. Okay, Dr. Octopus's famous anti-gravity ray. He just shot it with those, and then just went right. You know, they just took it right. What the hell? This is just a classic case of I can't figure it out. Therefore, make up bullshit here. You know, that's all this is.
The ancient structures around the world wasn't ETs or secret technology. It was the supernatural power and understanding of the fallen angels. According to Enoch 6, verse 6.
Look, any 2-year-old can stack blocks. What idiots. Man, they do not. They no imagination, these people. Okay, my goodness.
It was during the days of Jared when the fallen angels came from heaven to earth. Genesis 5:18 says that Jared was 162 years old when he—
oh my God, it's hilarious. What's hilarious here is that he's making fun of that Billy Carlson guy. You're like, look how stupid, man. Look, you got the pillars right or whatever, according to this new finding and stuff. But look, there's those pillars look nothing like. He's stupid. His stuff is wrong. Be skeptical of all that. Now, in the Bible, it says that angels came down and had sex with women and gave birth to giants. That's obviously what's going on here. Like, oh my God.
He begat his son Enoch. Calculating the number of years from Adam, the first man, to Noah when the flood happened, gives us approximately 1,034 to 1,196 years that the fallen angels were on the earth influencing mankind. The fallen angels were teaching.
He broke down the time span. How did you get that number? Where did you
teaching humans how to sin?
Wow.
And were corrupting humankind with their mixing.
Like they were teaching humans how to sin
of the genetic
I thought that was like, hold on.
The fallen angels were teaching humans how to sin, and
they were going after those hobbits. With their ring, they can, they fly on dragons, I guess.
We're corrupting humankind with their mixing of the genetics. This is one of the main reasons.
Wait, so they taught, oh my God, I've never heard this version of it, is that they taught people how to sin because of all their mixing of the genetics. That's what did it? Okay.
Why God flooded the earth. One of the claims in relation to what's in these structures that are underneath the pyramids is that it's the claimed Hall of Records. The Hall of Records is...
it said the aliens learned from the gods who were clearly taught by the all-knowing egg, the intergalactic egg that is all-knowing, who was probably taught by the interdimensional Indiana Jones 4 beings. And they're just really good at figuring stuff out, I think. And so they just, they were the starter for all that. So, but it's made made up stuff. It's like that. You can just sort of keep adding.
Purported to be an ancient library underneath the Sphinx or maybe underneath the Giza pyramids. But this is a concept that originated with Edgar Cayce.
He said, I learned how to sin all by myself. Yeah, I thought that was the point. Wasn't that the whole thing? Is that if you put some humans in a garden and tell them not to eat a certain thing, they're going to do it anyway because humans naturally just want to break the rules.
Who is someone who claimed to be clairvoyant and is a forerunner to the New Age spiritual.
I mean, as long as you accidentally put the demon on the wrong planet instead of the torture dimension that you made for him, but he ended up in that garden somehow. Anyway, this is
movement. If the Hall of Records was real, which there's no evidence that it is, it would hold exactly the type of information as to why God flooded the earth in the first place.
I love it. That's so funny. Which there's no evidence for that. Now let's talk about God flooding the entire planet and putting all of the animals on a boat. That's where the evidence is at, y'all. Okay, not whatever the hell he was just saying.
The fallen angels' interaction with humankind led to great sin and great corruption. It wasn't a time of prosperity.
You got the age right too. The biblical knowledge equals Iron Age flat earthers knowledge. Exactly. I know it always kills me when they're like, but even if I granted them like 500 people, like 500 people saw him, dude. It's like, dude, back then a fucking card trick would have turned you into a deity. Okay, that would have happened had I like done like a. Well, how could he possibly know that was the Ace of Spades? That was incredible, man. He's a god. That's what that is. Can we write down that this guy's a god? Write it down. We'll chisel it into stone or something. I don't know. I don't care. Just we need to get this down. Okay, that was incredible, sir. Do you want us to do anything? Is there anything you want to, any knowledge you want to bestow on us, mortals? Or that's
prosperity or anything good. That's why in the end times, it's prophesied to be like the days of Noah.
Oh, but my point was, you said biblical knowledge and Iron Age. Everybody says Bronze Age. That's wrong. It's Iron Age. So very good. Very good. I don't know. I assume that's what IDK stands for. That's like the shorthand. I do know that shorthand. That's one of the few shorthands that I actually do know. And I didn't have to Google that one. They go, what the hell is that? TLDR every time. Gonna have to Google that sucker. That's not sticking in there ever.
The days of Lot, because in those times great evil was being spread and taught all throughout the earth. The fallen angels and their Nephilim offspring may once again make another appearance. It's prophesied that men's hearts will fail them.
Wait, they didn't die in the flood? I thought the whole point of the flood was that they were a problem. Isn't that the case you just made? Is that they poisoned everything, and it was like that's why God had to like take everybody out because the genetics just got too poisoned or whatever. I remember thinking back then that like there might have been like some blue people, right? Like Avatar. Right? We don't know. They all died out during the flood. What if there's like all these crazy races of people that were like purple and blue? Maybe one looks like beasts, maybe from X-Men. I don't know. I'm just saying. They could have been. I used to think that.
For fear of those things which are coming upon the earth. We can know that what the Bible prophesies to happen will come to pass. Even looking at the crumbling pyramids is a fulfilled prophecy from the book of Ezekiel.
What? How? This dude, it's so funny when he talks about evidence for everything else, but then he's like, we know for a fact that the Bible prophecies are going to come true just any second now.
Egypt will be the lowliest of kingdoms and will never again exalt itself above the nations. For I will diminish Egypt so that it will never again rule over the nations. This has come to pass. Every prophecy up to this point has been fulfilled, and everyone into
interesting. So as long as you say this will not be the superpower any longer, and it actually happens. I don't know. I couldn't just be like wishful thinking from that time. Didn't they like really not like Egyptians back then? Wasn't there like a whole bunch of anti-Egyptian like propaganda, as far as I understand, like in holy text form? There was like anti-Egyptian propaganda.
To the future will as well. Accept Jesus as your Lord and find the fulfillment, comfort, wisdom, and understanding that every generation of the past has sought, but that can only be found through.
What is he doing? What is that? Okay, what is happening with this? Why is the lamb being sexy over here? The crisscross legs, like doing that scene from Basic Instinct. Which is what is happening? It's on his shoulder. Okay, I stayed. Took me a second. I don't know why. So he's got it on his shoulder, and the lamb is very happy about it. He's just snuggling. They're snuggling up together.
Through Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh! Look at this. Wow, that is a lot of. That's crazy. That's sad. That's the type of stuff that gets out there. Is that? God damn, that's insane. All right, where are we at here? We got how to believe in millions of years. Hold on. A demonic army will rise out of the dust by 2030. Okay. Got 5 years, y'all. Got 5 years. And then a demonic army will come. Jeez, this guy cracks me up. I don't know why. He was the one that, like, I can't remember what it was. It was like it was Trump just saying like some dumb stuff. Well, I don't know. Just doing his comedy bit, like speech, doing stuff that he does. And he's like, oh, wow, that was incredible. Oh, wow. God, when that guy talks, it's beautiful. It's just, oh, I'm going to need a minute. I'm sorry. Wow. Oh, man. Oh, no, it's okay. I'm okay. Like, he literally did like that. It was on a Christian nationalist episode I did with SR. So I'm going to check that out.
Hear about stuff and actually seeing the reality of it. The Bible says without a vision, the people perish. And so sometimes I just like to use my platform.
Doesn't that kind of look like the flag is burning? Like, why would you put the flag right there, dude? It looks like you're in the middle of putting it through a burn grinder or something like a shredder, but like a Bernie kind of shredder, that burns it.
To kind of make it real for people, right? And when you actually see the facts and you actually see some of these videos, what I'm hoping is some of you that are watching this that might have a casual kind of relationship with God, or you're living kind of compromised, you realize we are really in a
You're living kind of compromised. Interesting.
Spiritual war, that the Bible is the truth, that we are living in the end times, and you better get right with God. And there's a lot of just, you know how the Bible talks about the Antichrist spirit is already moving in the earth? You're going to see.
No, I don't remember that part specifically. I remember them talking about like a 7-headed dragon, with a bunch of heads. Each one has a horn. And then on one of the horns, there's a small horn, right? And then that horn takes over. It's a whole horn thing. Okay. It really gets in depth. The horns.
Through this video and what I showed you,
I don't know why.
That there's a lot of antichrist propaganda already out there now that is setting us up for the beast system, setting us up for
the beast system. That doesn't that sound like it's his workout routine? I call this the beast system. I stick my head in ice, put a band-aid over my mouth for some reason. I break bottles sometimes when I'm doing my workout thing. I do stuff going in and out of elevators. I don't know what.
For the end times. Now, you guys know we're always talking about how Satan will use the 7 pillars of society, education, the politics, the entertainment, all that different stuff, pretty much to brainwash people. And the Bible says, be not
the brainwash the people. This is so sad when you get to this point, right? Anybody that doesn't believe your insane human sacrifice, blood magic, death cult nonsense, they're brainwashed. They're the brainwashed ones, right? Like anybody that doesn't think my stuff, they're brainwashed into not Christianity, just everything but it. That's how brainwashing works, I guess.
Ignorant of Satan's devices, right? So we know that the Bible is pretty much essentially a script. Everything that's going to happen is going to happen, but how we respond to the things that are going on in this world, it matters. We're a royal priesthood put here on this earth to.
I didn't see you there. What's going on, man? How you doing? Hell yeah.
Make a difference, to be God's representatives on the earth. And with all of this phony Christianity, this weak Christianity, this American Christianity, we have got so complacent that it's like people can't see what's coming. And it is a little bit discouraging because I can see it clear as day. Many of you can probably see it clear as day. And we have.
I remember that feeling. When you've just gotten so. I used to watch a lot of the Alex Jones stuff, right? But it was back before he was like he made this weird shift to like fully right-wing stuff. He was just sort of like anti all government, right? Which, you know, to like a punker kid, a Christian punker kid, that's kind of appealing, right? And so I used to watch a lot of Alex Jones and everything, and the way that they would, you know, when they would put out all these videos that had the Requiem for a Dream soundtrack, or the Woman in Red, or a Woman in the Red Dress soundtrack from The Matrix, and you know, they would have, it was just like letters would just come up on this screen. But with the music, it's scary, you know, and it would tell you about like all this, they would tell you a bunch of bullshit, right? About like all these conspiracies and everything. And it was all about how the end times are happening, but you can't see it, right? You can't see it because it's secret. So the Antichrist, all the tribulation, all that type of stuff, it's happening. So of course it's all out of order and everything, right? Because they had, you know, anyway, but it's all happening, but it's secret. And so, and I remember going, this is so clear. This is so obvious, man, that this stuff's totally coming true. There was that video where, you know, they're at the Bohemian Grove. Are you kidding? That's the Antichrist doing stuff, man. What if I
have to sound the alarm? But I'm hoping that, you know, by showing these clips, showing these videos, the reality of what's going on, some people will wake up. Now, obviously, most of you, because you've heard me maybe talk about this before in the past, not with the particular videos that I'm about to show you, you already know where I'm going. But I think that,
oh, thanks, Wolf. Wolf said the self-censorship. That's funny that that's what it takes. But yeah, the self-censorship is working great. I'm getting regular ads. I'll keep it up, and maybe this can be your new full-time job. Oh, good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, sorry if it's annoying. I don't know. I kind of gotta I need a new computer. That's really what this is about. I'm gonna pull back the number of ads once I have enough saved to get this thing, but this thing's shutting down constantly. I gotta do something. It's just a tablet. That's the thing. It's like I do all this stuff from just a tablet and a really old laptop. So yeah, I need an update, you know. So I'm working on trying to get that. But apologies about the ads. But yeah, no, I'm glad that it's working. Yeah, and it clearly is. And I just figured out, that's why I switched to this as far as the Adam and Eve, because I was still getting hit with the you know, getting being like, oh, limited ads and everything, right? And I was like, what is going on? Why? And I'm like, I'm not swearing, I'm not doing, but I forgot. There's an AI bot that like checks out what is on the camera, or, you know, the screen all the time, right? And it could tell that they were like adult toys just all over the screen every so often. So I had to take that out. So that's why we're getting this. But no, I'm so glad that it's yeah, it's working. I wasn't sure if it's working. They don't play them for me when I watch, you know, they don't bring up the ads. But cool.
Some people don't realize how bad it is. And one of the biggest problems in America, why we're so complacent, and I believe persecution is the only thing that will really unite the church. Why we've got so many phony preachers and so much nonsense going on in the church is because people don't realize, you know, how serious this is. So let me show you.
It's so weird that they do this. They're like, there's so many phony preachers out there just doing phony stuff. How do you know which ones are phony and which ones aren't? And the ironic part is it's always like, well, as long as it aligns with my doctrine, of course. It's like, couldn't anybody just say that then? So everybody's phony to everybody else, including that, like they're phony to somebody. Like, no matter where you're at, you're just all pointing to each other, going, "No, but yours is wrong, though. Mine is the right one. Yours is all right. No, yours is wrong. But no, that's right."
See this first, all right? You can look at this information for yourself. Pew Research Center, the future of global Muslim population. Now, there's two things that I just simply want to point out. All right,
they are terrified of that one. A religion that is not ours is growing in numbers.
If current trends continue, however, 79 countries will have 1 million or more Muslim inhabitants in 2030, up from 72 countries today. A majority of the world's Muslims, about 60%, will continue to live in the Asia Pacific region, while about 20% will live in the Middle East and North Africa. If the United States is an example, the population projections show the number of Muslims more than doubling over the next 2 decades, rising from 2.6 million to 2010 to 6.2 million in 2030. In Europe as a whole, the Muslim share of the population is expected to grow by nearly 1/3 over the next 20 years, rising from 6% of the region's inhabitants in 2010 to 8% in 2030. So you can look into that. I just wanted to show you some of the facts. What I really want to show you guys today.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't. I don't know what exactly. I mean, of course, he's like, that's terrifying because they are just the worst. They're evil, super duper evil, man. Wouldn't his religion still grow too? Like they're both of the. Well, I noticed that Islam seems to be a bit more like evangelical lately. I don't know if that's a thing. That if there was some kind of switch or if they've always been evangelical, but it just seems like there's more of a push for it lately. So maybe that has something to do with it. But like, I don't know in the regions that he's talking about specifically where, you know, this is happening. Is he just talking about like an increase in population as far as, anyway, I don't fucking know.
These videos, people need to see what is going on in the world and understand that, you know, a lot of this was foreshadowed in the word, but it is disturbing what is going on. And I'm going to give you
Theo, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? It's good to see you. Hell yeah.
Good example. When I say, you know, antichrist agenda, antichrist spirit already moving through the earth, I do believe this is going to be like an antichrist army, right? But you have to understand,
God, they're just like it's like fear mongering. Wow. Okay, so she's got the American flag burqa on. Wow, this is clearly created by right wing weirdos. Jesus.
Let me pull this up first.
They cannot. You've got one right here on your Christian page, but Muslims aren't allowed. Oh, okay, they're not allowed.
Understand that.
Just my religion is allowed to do flag stuff.
For example, the Bible says, "Be fruitful and multiply." Here in America, they're telling everybody to be LGBTQ. People are having less babies.
What? That's really that was a big push from the Biden administration. Like, sorry, Jack, you all got to be gay now, okay? No getting married unless you're gay.
And then on the other side, they're being fruitful and multiplying. So what they're doing is they're going to Europe, they're going to these places, and they're doing what the Bible says. And so they're like the -- growing religion in the world just based off of reproduction. But here in America, right, people want to have
anti-mice army,
have abortions. Everybody wants to be LGBTQ. They're pushing this propaganda. They're pushing this agenda, and that is part of the Antichrist.
I don't understand. Like, what do they want to happen? Do they how do they think an ideal world should be? Are gay people do they just disappear? How does this work? I always wonder exactly what, if they got what they want, what would it be? Just like gay people are just cowering in the shadow in their houses and I'm not going outside. What do they want, man? This is just so weird. And they're and then they counter it by saying, well, they want everybody to be gay and stuff. They're trying as if the government's hey, everybody, we need you to do this thing. And then everybody's you know what? I should be gay. I'm just going to, I'm going to decide to do that. Since the government told me to and everything. What are you saying, man? These people exist, whether or not you like it. It's just a fact. They've always existed. I don't know if you know this, buddy. They're mentioned in your Bible. So they existed back then. All right. This isn't a social contagion. You know what is a social contagion? Your stupid religion.
Tactic to build that runway.
I think that's what it is. That's what it is. It's it's projection because they know that their thing is a social contagion. They know that their thing is that they let the guard down in their mind to allow somebody to convince them of stuff that makes them start behaving differently and getting angry about different things and thinking other stuff is valuable that they didn't think were valuable before and stuff like that. So they can see how somebody can control you through rhetoric and stuff like that, through religious rhetoric and whatnot. And so they assume that that's what's happening on the other side of it. That's what's happening for gay people and stuff like that. They're just being convinced to all of a sudden want to just start sucking some. I always feel like I got to ask them that. So you think you could decide tomorrow to be actually, that kind of genitalia does actually look pretty good to me all of a sudden. I don't know. I feel like I could choose and decide to be attracted to that. What? Really? Okay. Well, then I think you got some stuff going on in there because If you can just decide to be attracted to stuff, you might have something going on. You know, you might be at least bi. I don't know, because you can't. You know who. It's just really strange to be like, no, you can't. You gotta. You know, you got to choose not to be attracted to who you're attracted to. I just don't even. Like if I went to him, was like, sorry, buddy, your wife, you got to not be attracted to her anymore. I actually don't find her attractive. So you need to stop being attracted to her right now. Just decide it. Just decide that you're no longer attracted to your wife. I mean, well, he might be like, oh, no, done and done. Okay. That was, you know, the you know, the anniversary's over or whatever. Or the honeymoon, not the anniversary. The honeymoon is over, if you know what I'm saying. Now, yeah, that's crazy. You can't just decide to stop being attracted to people. Like it just doesn't make sense.
This thing to really get some momentum, and people think, oh, it's not a big deal. The Bible talks about leaving an inheritance for our children. That's just not finances. We have to look at what's going on in the world, and we have to make our children aware about the propaganda, about the brainwashing, about the demonic agendas that are out there. And so with you know, I'm just going to play the
Dude, it's like once you've been brainwashed into believing that everybody else has been brainwashed, you're the one that's brainwashed, dude. like I feel like that. I don't know how they don't understand that, but they literally think that people are brainwashed into what, your religion not being true. It's like when they say indoctrination. Like, you know, I remember talking to somebody, I was homeschooled, right? And so I, you know, if somebody was talking to me and they're like, how was your schooling growing up and stuff? And I was like, I was very indoctrinating, because that's what it was. And, you know, it's into that religion, limiting all my access to any information outside of the fundamentalist viewpoint, right? Not allowing me to watch certain television shows, just anything, talking to anybody, having friends with any kids that were not specifically our interpretation of Christianity, and whatnot. And I remember this person said to me, like, well, everybody's going to get indoctrinated into something. What? How? Define indoctrinated, because as far as I can tell, it's about hiding reality to push them over to believe things that you want them to believe by limiting their access to information. That is indoctrination. Like having extra access to information, not indoctrination. That's not how it works. Okay. You can't be indoctrinated into not my religion. That doesn't make any sense, man. They'll say, oh, they're indoctrinating them into atheism, but they're not. They're just indoctrinating them into not specifically your religion. So anything that's like limiting information to allow this person to only have access to Christian information, anything outside of that is indoctrinating them into atheism. It's amazing how this stuff works.
The clips, I want people to see it. I know some young people are going to watch this, and maybe you haven't really thought about this. Maybe you think it doesn't really affect you, but it does affect our children. And this is very problematic. So you're going to see some
God, everything is about protecting the children and
crazy stuff here, and we're going to talk about some of them.
40 years from now, you
Well,
will
of course.
see how different
Oh, he's doing the peanut butter guy. Yeah, okay.
things will look. When you look at Congress, 30% of Congress are going to be Muslim.
Is he wearing a t-shirt? What the hell is even going on here? I thought he was like always supposed to be dressed like a Nickelodeon bad guy.
30% of senators, and then all of a sudden, U.S. as a Muslim president, show up and make some babies and raise some leaders and inject your philosophy into this, because Muslims get a shout out for absolutely doing that better than Christians are doing it right now. Christians tend to be forgiven.
What was that? Hold on.
And inject your philosophy into this, because
And you hear him before you get to the comment. You can hear him saying like everything that Christians are doing, everything that Christian nationalists are doing, like have as many kids, right? Force people to have kids, and then take over basically all of the adoption agencies to make them just Christian adoption agencies, and not allow gay people and stuff to adopt them, and then also teach all those adopted kids about Christianity. It's like the long game, and they know that's what they're doing, that the Christians are doing it that way. And so they're terrified of another religion doing exactly what they are doing. They're like, hey, that's my job. We're supposed to be, raising, all the kids, forcing a bunch of kids into existence that we brainwash into Christianity. That's our thing. You can't just take our thing. we're the ones that take other people's things. Okay, that's we're white. We're the white Christian. We take your culture. Okay, I mean, I don't know what you think you're doing here, but okay. So what does it say? No, Marcus, they are telling women to be independent. I think they're saying that it's like it's bad. You're right. And men, what? Yeah, wow. Okay. No, Marcus, they are telling women to be independent and men to be feminine and like women. Oh, okay. I see. So stupid. And you see, it's like bad. Because we want our women to be dependent. All women need to be dependent so that they can't choose to get divorced, like back in the good old days.
Muslims get a shout out for absolutely doing that better than Christians are doing it right now. Christians tend to be forgiven and they say, let it slide. Muslims are not.
No, they don't play
games and say, let it slide.
No.
So let's just say you have two kids.
What?
One kid you joke with, he takes it. The other kid you joke with, he says, don't do that again. That I don't like that when you do that in front of people. Okay. Guess whose standard you're going to step up to as a parent? The kid that tells you, don't make fun of me in front of my friends.
So that's a really good point, right?
Okay, maybe you need to break it down because I mean, maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But what the fuck? What point was that? So the ones that pushed harder. So like because Muslims are like, no, F you don't make fun of my religion. Okay, and because they're like that, then what? That's gonna change the religious layout of wherever they are as far as the government goes.
Right now, you see here, this is in the UK. All right, this is happening, and you think about some of the policies, right? Just letting them.
They're also like a minority faith, as far as I know. Well, and this is in England, right? So it's not like I don't know. I don't know much about their layout as far as I know that I thought they were far less religious there than, of course, we are here in the U.S. But anyway, and that's like a big part of like why they were all like doing the Brexit thing because of they're like too many Muslims. We got to stop it. And then Richard Dawkins is like getting all mad about too many Muslims. I thought I'm a cultural Christian because I don't like that other religion.
And saying just letting anybody in at the border. Most other places in the world where they're not doing this stuff, where they have some kind of borders, even
Do you think that having
have a border?
He got interrupted. 1 second, buddy. I was making a point about the border.
You know what I'm saying? But we're just letting anybody in, and we're just thinking, oh,
what are you gonna do? Stop everybody at the border and be like, are you a Christian? What's John 3:16? Recite it, and do it with some conviction. Otherwise, I'm not gonna buy it. All right. What do you want them to do? That's literally what he's basically saying. Is that like you can come over here as long as you're Christian, and then we're cool, right? But if you're any other culture, any other religion, you can't come here. Wow, that is just see. This is why they're against that coexist thing. I just put on Facebook. It was like I was driving down. It was Central Avenue in St. Pete, and there were these people out with their freaking blowhorns yelling at everybody about how they need to repent. It's like 4 of them. I put the picture on it, but like we're like all of it, everybody on Facebook, like looking at what the sign is, right? And one of them's coexist, right? Which was what caught my eye. So I'm like, okay, so what's the opposite of coexisting? It's that's subjugation. That's what that is. So they're like, no, we don't want to coexist. We want to subjugate everybody that's not like our thing. But the other interesting part of it was there was like a person throwing away something in the trash. Like it's like a little silhouette, like the little whatever, a little symbol of like throwing trash away. Nobody can figure out what the hell. I'm like, is it anti-climate or something? Like, I don't know what the anyway. Just if you want to head to my Facebook and then see if you can figure out what the hell that is, because I've got nothing. I don't know.
We've been brainwashed, right? First of all,
you're right. Oh, you got one right. Hey, good job, dude. Yep. Now, step 2 is undoing it.
Bible talks about a city without walls.
Oh, shoot. I don't know if you got it. I think you immediately just kept going into the brainwash stuff.
And how it'll come to ruin. But you've been brainwashed and you think the political stuff doesn't matter. And Christians, being brainwashed to believe, oh, don't speak about politics. Don't speak up. well, this is what's coming to you. Let's watch this. This stuff is disturbing.
It's against the law. I mean, it depends. Like, it's like, oh, we're not supposed to be talking about politics and stuff. I mean, from the pulpit, that's supposed to be the point. And you can talk about political, like things. You just can't support a politician. That's the thing that we're supposed to not be allowed to do, because religion is far too manipulative. You can't have some pastor be like, if you don't vote the way I demand that you do, you're going to hell. Okay. I had a conversation with the big guy, and I was like, hey, anybody that doesn't vote for Trump, put them in a special circle, the anti-Trump circle of hell. That's the deepest layer of hell. Okay. That's where they gotta go. Like, you can't, how are we supposed to have a free and fair democracy if we're doing stuff like that?
Sex with a 9-year-old is justified.
Gotta hear it.
Oh my God, it's that Daniel dude. It's the Daniel guy that a couple different people I've seen debate that guy. He is the worst. And it's like he loves talking about that stuff because it's just like he's just so smug and gross about it.
But you think that having sex with a 9-year-old?
Oh, wait, that's Armin, right? Is that Armin? Wow.
Is justified.
I think it literally is. That's awesome, dude. I've like read that dude's book like 5 times. It's real short, but it's awesome. It's a really good book.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that the so here, let me ask you a question. Okay, is the problem with
I'm asking you a question.
Let me well, I have to frame it. Okay, so if you have a problem with child marriage because you think it is categorically wrong, or is it because it's conditionally wrong?
Is that is Armin, right? Am I Charlie said Armin is kick ass. He is. I was just watching him yesterday with Chris Mallard on the there's a channel doing a fundraiser. Wow, and I'm just blanking on literally all of it. Anyway, but yeah, it was a big skeptic fundraiser, and he was on there with Chris. So the damn folks, no, your guy, he was on with Arm. Anyway, Arm is awesome. I really do appreciate his work.
I'm asking you the question.
Well, I want to understand what your understanding is, because I think that the Prophet, peace be upon him, his marriage to Aisha was at 9 years of age. 21.
Thank you, Secularizing US. Thank you, AJ. Appreciate. When did you get? Hey, AJ, what's up? Thank you. Yeah, Secularizing. Go donate. I think, is it still going? Can you still donate? I don't know. Hopefully you can, but go donate anyway, even if you're not allowed. Just do it and just throw money on the floor in front of them, even if they're not accepting money anymore.
So, do you think that I don't think that that's wrong? I can explain it and justify it, and I'm trying to give you the entire anthropological explanation and the historical explanation of that. But like I said,
oh, cool. AJ's like, I've been listening. I could. I'm right there with you. I do that most of the time, actually. I can't really interact too often, but I can at least listen.
It can't be done in 5 minutes.
So
I want to simplify it and say, do you think that this is categorically wrong, or is it conditionally wrong?
I think they're trying to mess with my stream. You know how they be doing me sometimes.
Yeah, that's it. It's them. It's the all-powerful them. I know. They're trying to get you, dude. They're trying to get you.
Time I talk about one of these particular topics.
Every time? Are you sure it's every time? That sounds like a confirmation biasy type of word.
And so we're going to play a couple of clips in here that is really just disturbing. But you see this.
Where's your God at with this, dude? Huh? Where's your God? Let's see. Is your God so weak it can't even control the internet waves? Are they waves? They don't need. Kevin shrugged. He doesn't know if they're waves. Are they internet waves? What do internets come in? Are they particle? How does this? I'm getting lost on the wrong thing. Anyway, your God's weak is the point, buddy.
This topic in itself is just pretty bad, right? And this is what they're going to try to bring to the United States of America, and they're bringing other places. And so you see a lot of the woke.
They're trying to bring. Who's trying to bring them? What the hell are you talking about? Somebody's like, all right, we got to get who's a Muslim or not? Can you go? Okay, go. Well, bring it in. We got to get you into the country because we need Muslims in here. What do you? No, nobody's bringing. Just people are coming. And the crazy part is, we got the U.S. going around and funding places being bombed to smithereens, and destabilizing governments and everything all over the world. And then we're like, but you can't come here. We're like, hold on, what the you're the reason that we can't have water where I'm at. What the they're like, yeah, sorry about that, but no, we'll just drink the sand. I don't know, do anything. I don't care. I'm allowed to not care about you because I believe in God.
Ideologies and stuff that's going on with the MAP, minor attracted persons. You think that stuff's not going to come to America, you know, with the whole LGBT?
The crazy thing is, dude, in the most rural states, they have it on. They've like Republicans have voted. Christian Republicans have voted to make 13-year-old girls, not women, girls be allowed to get married. That's the Republican. The Christian Republicans are saying you should be allowed to marry a 13-year-old. But it's always the Muslim. They're like, well, theirs is 9, though. We shave a couple years off of there. And so that makes it. But no, yours is disgusting, too. Both y'all's nastiness about this thing is disgusting. Okay. But you're included here. All right.
Q stuff. All right. Let me see if we can refresh this. This always happens when I do videos like this. We'll probably skip past.
You gotta hardline it, buddy. You gotta get that hardline. I know it's a pain. You gotta duct tape it to the floor all through the house because, of course, you gotta have this stupid internet box all the way on the other side of the gun. I don't know why I told that guy to put it back there. That's actually on me. That's kind of, I'm kind of mad at myself about that one because he sort of asked me where I should. But anyway,
it's that little clip, and we see. Notice how we see, right, this whole Hamas, this whole Israel thing. I've told the church multiple times, you got to be careful.
This whole Israel, whole Hamas Israel thing. It's always, it's like if anybody is anti-Israel, just doing the awful stuff they're doing, then they're pro-Hamas. It's like, wow, dude, no, I'm just pro people not being blown to smithereens. That's it, just period. Just on both sides, but one side has way more power than the other, and they're doing a lot of more damage. So I'm against them harder because of the more power thing.
Get so caught up in this whole hating Israel thing. Now I understand people have
nobody hates Israel, dude. Just stop.
Different perspectives about different things.
It's just we don't like seeing this kind like death on this severe like carnage. Literally, like anyway.
But you have to look at the groups of people that gather. And, they're talking about this stuff. Now, look at this next clip, right? What's going on? I believe this is in Syria. A lot of persecution. Notice how these people that are marching in the streets and they're speaking.
What people are marching? I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, Marcus, you still got the video up there of the debate
against Israel. And they're speaking against a lot of different things. They never talk.
He's not even trying to get rid of it.
About this. You don't see a lot of people outside of Christian circles talking about the persecution that is going on in Syria and places like that to Christians by people of this religion of peace.
Yeah, it's almost as if like when you give religion too much power, they tend to use that power to hurt other people. Maybe we shouldn't have any religion get that amount of power over other people. Maybe it should be separate. Maybe the state and the church, there should be like a separation or something, even for the Muslims too. Yeah, I know. It's it goes both ways. It's just Jesus.
Watch this. Bark like a dog. Go ahead. They're making Christians crawl and bark like dogs
as they beat them and shoot them.
Simply for being Christians in Syria. Go ahead, Palestinian Brigade. Talk about what's going on, Christians. Because
we're talking. Wait, where's Syria? Are you saying that's the Palestinians that are being kicked out of their homes and everything? Yeah, like more stuff can be going on at once. Then wow, they're so absolutist. They're so just black and white thinking. They can't. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, we get it. That's bad. Two things can be bad at the same time, man. I know this is really hard for a brain where just everything is the in group and out group, and that's it. And it's absolute among the in group. In group can't ever do anything wrong, and the out group can't do anything right. And it has to remain that way, no matter what. No nuance. Can't have anything like that now. Jeez Louise. No, man, multiple things can be bad. It's okay. You can say it. My goodness. All right. Well, that was fun. You know, it was a kind of all over the place today. I'm going to be honest. But that's what you get when you don't plan stuff. Talking to me, you know, that's what I get. That's what you get. But no, thank y'all so much for hanging out. This was a lot of fun, and we will be having our members only live stream tomorrow. And there's, well, I'll put out, see if we can get some requests for the members only live stream. It's uncensored and random, unless you give me some ideas as to what to cover. And yeah, you got a bunch of different ways you can do that. But well, thank y'all so much for hanging out. And if you want to play with things hanging out, just go to adamandeve.com, enter code word Brentley at checkout to get 50% off almost any one item. 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Go to adamandeve.com. Enter that code word Brentley. That's BRENTLY at checkout. And adamandeve.com is America's #1 adult toy dispensary. Save yourself a trip to that sticky store and have the stuff sticky free sent to your house directly. It's completely unopened, unused. Unlike that store, you know what I'm talking about, the neon signs. You can't see in any of the windows or anything. Anyway, that's everything's sticky there, and it's all been pre-used. You know it. That guy that's like bald but also has like long hair somehow at the counter, he's used all the stuff. You know, go to adamandeve.com and enter that code word Brentley at checkout and get your exclusive offer. Get your butt some stuff. All right. And if you want to do some other stuff, you can go to patreon.com/Apostate. It's, anything you can give there helps. There's a big back catalog of a lot of stuff that I've worked on for a long time. If you want to do just a one-time thing, do Cash App, Punk Apostate, all one word, is the cash tag. And if you want to become a member, then hit that join button. Oh, also, if you want to hit that smash button, if you want to hit that smash button, then just, anyway, smash that like button, please, if you don't mind. Anyway, back to this. And, but yeah, you get an extra live stream every week. And then some of these live streams, they go straight to members as soon as they're done being live. And so you have access to all those too, as well as when I get back to doing pre-recorded stuff, scripted stuff, you get those early and stuff like that too. So there's a lot of perks. Plus, you actually do get some special emojis, and some of them even have special powers within the live streams. So you become a member and you can have a little bit more say so in what's going on there with the emojis. It's pretty cool. It's a secret. It's secret. Shit, I forgot it was secret. I mean, anyway, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, but if you want to do Discord, we got a Discord, and you can go in there. You can make requests and stuff like that. So there's a section where you can ask to react to stuff. And I'll pretty much do anything. So if you want to just do a weird viral video or something like that, just pop it in there. But also, I got all my links to all my socials, and all that stuff is below. So thank you all so much, seriously, for hanging out. But, the main thing is to stay logical, loving, skeptical, and compassionate. And we will see you next time.